And good morning, ladies and gentlemen. It is 6:55 a.m. on November 25th, 2023. In just a few moments, we're going to be reading a sample from the book, Eat Right for Your Type, right? Because if you want to survive the poisons of this world, if you want to take care of your health in a world of fast food, in a world of GMO, in a world of your way right away at Burger King, Taco Bell, and all the rest, then you need to be in control of what you eat. That means not being on autopilot and just eating anything that you feel like eating and succumbing to your cravings. If you're anything like me, you didn't grow up in an environment in which your parents taught you about your ancestry. You didn't grow up in an environment in which you were told and taught how to make healthy, nutritious food that your ancestors ate. And I've even sent my father requests for recipes regarding food that his family eats. And because they don't like me, none of them will answer my questions. How do you make kebabs? How do you make naan bread? They will not answer, right? So I can find out those answers on my own, I guess, by watching YouTube, but I rather learn from a relative, wouldn't you? And so I've taken upon myself to find out what blood type I am. And you might want to do the same thing as well, to find out if the foods that you are currently eating are foods that are right for your type. Now, if you ask your average doctor about this, if you ask artificial intelligence about this, or the internet about this, they will say that what you eat and what you should be eating has nothing to do with your blood type, and that is not entirely factual. And I will also add that while there are 4 main blood types, each one of them, I believe, with a positive and a negative, correct me if I am wrong, it also helps to know what foods your ancestors ate, right? And so if you don't learn this from your family and you know what ancestry you have, without going, of course, to one of these DNA websites, then you may be able to learn from others. For example, for the first time ever, I just picked up some pomegranates, and those are supposed to be very, very healthy for me. And I'm about to eat my first pomegranate in a few hours. By the way, I just got done with a half-hour walk. I walk every single day now, okay? I haven't always done that. Even when I lived off-grid, that was not exactly the environment to be walking. There's a lot of cars in that environment, even though it was off-grid, and not a lot of people walked. And in the environment that I'm in right now, not a lot of people walk. But walking is healthy, but you want to do it in moderation. The ideal amount is a half hour to an hour. Sometimes I will do 2 hours, but that can also be tough on the joints. So you want to know your own body. I've been getting incrementally more back into weight training, and being that I'm almost 44, my body does not recover at the same rate that it did 10 years ago or 20 years ago. Instead of doing heavy squats, I believe my max squat was 365 pounds. Now I squat freestanding without weights, high rep, increasing the amount of sets week by week, doing more push-ups than bench press. I don't go to the gym. I do everything at home. And I use dumbbells. And of course, I practice my strikes, do some qigong, and circular motion meditation movement, getting my qi going and combining these things together. Also, with the occasional use of the stair stepper from the Nordic Track Company. So I'm trying to get back into aerobic exercise as well. So these are things that you need to think about to empower yourself. And there are far too many conspiracy theorists and people out there in our society that are way too obsessed with the things that are killing them instead of actually doing something for themselves. And so I do talk about solutions, even if we are a society that is preventing those solutions from manifesting. We need to reform our system. But as we look at the system, as we look at what is corrupt about the world, we have to look at what is corrupt about ourselves. Also, there are many people that believe that they are being bred out of existence. And even if there are elements of that argument that may be true, that does not give one the excuse to then respond with hatred towards others, especially if other human beings aren't doing anything to eradicate their existence. For example, I believe that people of my father's heritage are being eradicated out of existence through starvation, through wars, through bombs, through the use of depleted uranium, through drone attacks, and much, much more. But in reality, am I helping my father's people more, or am I helping white Americans more? We all know the answer to that. My audience is 99% white American. And even if I try to get my content out there to people of my father's ancestry, reminding you again, AI will not permit it. And you need to think about why. Why is that? AI will not permit my posts in groups related to my father's ancestry. AI will not permit my request to post in my father's Facebook group. And most of you cannot say that you are barred and prevented by AI from posting in groups in which your ancestry can be found. If you are black, you can post in groups in which there are black people. If you are white, you can post in groups in which there are white people. And so, I have learned a great deal about the true nature of human consciousness and artificial intelligence in my lifetime. And there's a lot of insight that I have, ladies and gentlemen, to not only the corruption of this world, but also health and wellness. Bringing it back, bringing it back. And so I am not just a conspiracy theorist. I am not just an anti-war activist. I am not just a philosopher or a true believer in God and servant of God. I am not just an off-gridder. I am not just a person that has talked about mindful male-female relationships that's way beyond the box of MGTOW. I am not just a person that has talked about the solar flares and their true impact upon human consciousness and trends upon the earth. I am not just a person that has talked about the archons and the unseen realms. I am not just a person that has talked about the real Portlandia. I am a person that is capable of so much more. So, my advice to you is to not sell yourself short. Do not see yourself as just a person that is alarmed about the evil of this world. If you identify that there is corruption in our world, if you identify that there is unhealthy food that is being sold to you at Walmart, listen to your body. What is your body telling you? What are your true cravings, right? And so we may come to our own intuitive understanding of the foods that our body needs to eat without even reading a book like this. And so here's what I know after reading the section regarding my blood type, which is O, by the way. Blood type O. And there are several other blood types as well. Let's take a look at this. The blood type O diet, the blood type A diet, the blood type B diet, and the blood type AB diet. So even before I checked out this book at the library. I also recorded a podcast, which I'm also going to upload alongside this one. And it's going to be over at Substack. Okay, so I encourage you to think outside the YouTube box. Really, I seriously do encourage you to access content outside of social media. It's good for your brain. And you'll just have to trust me on that one. Okay? And so I recorded something several months ago in which I talked about changing my diet and getting more exercise. And I'm far more healthier now than I was 3 months ago by eating certain nuts on a regular basis, walnuts, pumpkin seeds, almonds, by drinking a higher quality of coffee. Right now I'm drinking a brand called Cameron's Dark Roast Jamaican Blend. I occasionally do go to the coffee shop, but I do not drink cheap coffee from Walmart or Kroger. And I recently started to add collagen. Like one day, I'm literally at Walmart and I see collagen for sale, and I don't even know what collagen is. But I feel this intuitive urge within me to buy it. And then I come to read about why it's good for your ligaments, why it is good for you as you age, especially if you're getting a certain amount of exercise. And like I'm doing a lot more walking, I'm feeling more pain now in my joints and in my knees. And so it's necessary for me to take a certain number of supplements. And I was taking synthetic vitamin D, also known as D3, for a number of years. Now I spend more time getting sun, and I bought some full spectrum grow lights for my 4 aloe vera plants. And when we get to a period in which there is no sun, which we're already in that period now in fall, moving into winter of 2023, I will sit under those full spectrum lights in order to get that vitamin D, other than take something that is synthetic. And there's many reasons why you want to do that and get vitamin D rich foods as opposed to taking something synthetic. And there's, of course, other vitamins and supplements that I'm taking as well. One of them is magnesium glycinate. This is the second form of magnesium that I'm taking. Also taking something called GABA when I go to sleep. Also taking something called ashwagandha. Also taking ginkgo. Also taking B complex. Somebody recommended recently in the comments K2, so I will take a look at that. Also using some essential oils. I don't know if I'm going to continue along that route. Somebody sent me a free case of essential oils, so I have been using those. And also, I picked up some liquid iodine for a emergency, if you will, if we are at full-scale World War III. But that is also good for supplementation as well. Haven't tried it yet. Also, oil of oregano. Also, olive leaf extract. And for relaxation, valerian root. And that covers most of what I'm taking. Also, powdered vitamin C. And as far as dental care, right, getting back into coconut oil swishing, which is putting coconut oil in your mouth first thing in the morning when you get up and swishing, and it pulls the bacteria from your mouth in which there's a high concentration of it. You want to do it first thing in the morning before drinking water and before brushing your teeth. So those are some of the things that I'm doing in addition to reducing, except for lately, but for a while there, I was reducing refined sugar and only consuming fruits and juices, such as the Bolthouse Farms juices, which do not have added sugar, which are pure fruit. And I try to go to certain places in which some of those items are on sale, including carrot juice. But I do not drink V8. That is not something that suits my palate. So, like I said, there's going to be a companion podcast that's going to be uploaded with this to my Substack page. If you're not already subscribed to that, you might want to do that now. That way you can get notified of new uploads, video, podcasts, and blogs to your email, bypassing the YouTube algorithm. For example, if I was to upload on my main channel of 16,000 subscribers, if I wasn't shadow banned, those 16,000 subscribers would be notified of my new uploads, but yet only a few hundred are notified, meaning it is a mistake to rely on YouTube. You need to sign up to the content creators email newsletter if you do appreciate their content. So again, you should challenge yourself to not just be a social media consumer. You should also challenge yourself to be a reader and someone who has a desire to listen to a podcast outside of Facebook. You may not get the same amount of dopamine rush, but you really should suspect, why is it that people are so addicted to only consuming content on YouTube? Is there some sort of proprietary software that they are using to make it more pleasurable? Think about this now, stay with me. To make it more pleasurable to only consume content on YouTube. And if that is the case, if that in fact is the case, what does that say about the human beings that refuse to leave YouTube? What does it say about the human beings that watch a YouTube video and ignore someone's Substack link? Answer me this, Daniel Son. How is this not the zombie apocalypse? So, page 92. The Type O Diet. I'm only going to read a few pages from this book, and the rest is up to you. Type O thrives on intense physical exercise and animal protein. The digestive tract of Type O retains the memory of ancient times. The high-protein hunter-gatherer diet and the enormous physical demands placed on the system of early Type O's probably kept most primitive humans in a mild state of ketosis, a condition in which the body's metabolism is altered. The body metabolizes proteins and fats into ketones, which are used in place of sugars in an attempt to keep glucose levels steady. The combination of ketosis, calorie deprivation, and constant physical exercise made for a lean, mean hunting machine, the key to the survival of the human race. Dietary recommendations today generally discourage the consumption of too much animal protein because saturated fats have been proven to be a risk factor for heart disease and cancer. Of course, much of the meat consumed today is shot through with fat and tainted by the indiscriminate use of hormones and antibiotics. You are what you eat can take on an ominous meaning when you're talking about the modern meat supply. Fortunately, organic and free-range meats are widely available. The success of the Type O diet depends on your use of lean, chemical-free meat and fish, along with an abundance of fresh vegetables and fruit. Type O doesn't find dairy products and grains quite as friendly as do most of the other blood types, because its digestive system still has not adapted to them fully. After all, you don't have to chase down and kill a bowl of wheat or a glass of milk. These foods did not become staples of the human diet until much later in the course of our evolution. Now, I do believe that there is a website companion that goes with this book. Okay, so we have here in the next section, eat lean, chemical, and pesticide-free beef, lamb, beef liver, and venison as a primary protein source. These are your preferred meats, although chicken, turkey, and other neutral poultry products are allowed. The more stressful your job or demanding your exercise program, the higher the grade of protein you should eat. In type O, these are the original optimal types of protein for building active tissue mass, calorie burning tissue, such as muscle, but beware of portion sizes. Try to consume no more than 6 ounces at any one meal. Type O can efficiently digest and metabolize meats because it has high stomach acid levels and fat busting enzymes in abundance. However, type O must be careful to balance meat proteins with the appropriate vegetables and fruits to provide needed fiber, antioxidants, and micronutrients. It's very important that type O choose grass-fed and antibiotic, hormone, and pesticide-free meats. These choices are high in CLA, a very healthy fatty acid, although the only trans fat that is good for you. Emphasize eye of round, top sirloin, sirloin tip, brisket, and 95% lean ground cuts. These have less of the pro-inflammation fats. Optimally, you should also look for free-range and grass-fed meats. It is a natural source of omega-3 fatty acids. Also, I am taking fish oil. That's another thing. Whereas grain-fed meat has virtually no omega-3. Be sure poultry is certified organic and is antibiotic and pesticide free. Always choose free-range poultry. Select poultry products from the back of the fridge where the temperature is coldest. Pork naturally contains toxins and should be avoided, even organic pork. Highly beneficial: beef, beef heart, beef liver, beef tongue, buffalo bison, calf liver, lamb, marrow soup, moose, mutton, sweetbreads, veal, venison. And then it has another section called neutral: bear, bone soup, chicken, duck, chicken liver, Cornish hen, goat, goose, horse, ostrich, and I'm going to skip some of these: pheasant, rabbit, squab, squirrel, turkey, and avoid duck liver, goose liver, ham, pork and bacon, quail, turtle. I'm going to pause and talk about pork briefly, and I mentioned this in my podcast recording, which will be linked down below. Follow the link down below, join the Substack page. So, from a non-religious perspective, I have been avoiding heavy consumption of pork, especially lately. Because I have felt intuitively that it's not right for my type. And now reading this book, I'm now getting confirmation. There are also Christians out there, such as J.P. Haggart, who wrote a book on demonology. And he believes that the burning of pork attracts demonic entities. Having said that, when I lived off grid, I ate a very large amount of pork sausage, which is not quality pork. It has a lot of preservatives. I ate a great deal of bacon, and I also came under a certain amount of spiritual attack while living off the grid and creating videos full time. And I also did not have aloe vera plants around me. I talked about spiritual topics, but I didn't take it all the way. And so now I'm living a different way. And I have enjoyed pepperoni pizza even recently, so I still do eat some pork, okay, when it's on pizza. But when it comes to pork chops, when it comes to ham, when it comes to bacon, right, when I started to get serious about my health, my mental health, my spiritual health, and my physical health, I just knew within that I needed to eliminate certain things. Not for religious reasons, but for physical reasons, but we may be protecting ourselves spiritually more by staying away from certain substances that also includes alcohol. Although I will tell you now that I did enjoy a 6-pack of IPA on Halloween, but after drinking that, the first time that I drank alcohol in 3 years, that is in 3 years, I did not feel well or okay for 2 to 3 days. And then I had a few more beers after that, also IPA. I never drink Pabst Blue Ribbon. I never drink the hard stuff. And it's amazing how many times that I have shared alcohol with other people, how common it would be for individuals to try to pressure me to drink whiskey and tequila. So beware of the men and women that may enter your life that want you to do drugs with them, that want you, in some cases, to screw them, when in fact they may not be the people that you want to bed down with, that want you to drink bad alcohol with them, that want you to consume toxic media with them, far left content, far right content, conspiracy trash content that they may send into your email inbox. And so do not be afraid, ladies and gentlemen, of cultivating your intuition, because it is my intuition that led me on this path of not only speaking my truth, but taking my own health back into my own life. You know, I've talked with a certain amount of people about health and nutrition, but when you're talking to other people with different ancestries that have different body types, that have different blood types, they are not exactly the people that you want to be asking for health advice. Even if they may be intelligent on a certain level, we all have our own gifts. So some people are really, really intelligent when it comes to building websites. Some people are really, really intelligent when it comes to hardware. Some people are really, really intelligent when it comes to working on cars and working on transmissions and taking out the engine of a car and putting a new engine, but their diet may be crap. We can look at my Uncle Bruce, right? Gotta love that Uncle Bruce from the state of Oregon, right? And the man was a genius, an absolute genius when it came to repairing cars. That man was truly gifted. But when it came to diet, when it came to sexual morality, when it came to drugs and alcohol, he made a lot of bad choices. A lot of bad choices. When it came to diet, right, he would go down to the convenience store on Main Street in Aurora, Oregon, and buy Oreo cookies. Instead of, say, go to the grocery store and get a big box of Oreo cookies for, say, a cheaper price, he would waste his money on overpriced Pepsi and overpriced Oreos from the convenience store. You know, you've been to a convenience store, have you not? And you do know that convenience stores charge 2, 3, 4 times the cost of a grocery store's price for a candy bar or a box of Oreos. And so the man was born with gifts. The man was born with intelligence. But for many, many years, he pissed it away. And so it's really in our hands, ladies and gentlemen, to do what is right when it comes to our health. And so you're often going to have to get information on your own. You might have to go outside of your family to learn about what foods are right for your blood type. You might have to go outside of your family to find out the true nature of your ancestry. Now, if you know of the ideal place that is secure, in which the data is not being hacked by foreign governments, feel free to leave a comment down below. By the way, you should be liking these videos. You should be sharing these videos. You should be subscribed to this channel and the Substack, and you should be leaving comments. And so, I do crave seafood, but not all seafood that is available at Walmart or Kroger. And for a lot of us in the modern Americult, with the consolidation of grocery stores, most of us only have those grocery stores, including Albertsons, which I believe may even be owned by Kroger, possibly. And so we're not really getting, in many cases, the quality food that we need. So in some cases, if the grocery stores are not selling you quality chicken or quality fish, and your intuition is telling you to stay away from those foods, even if we're being told that fish is good for us, because of events like Fukushima, because of contamination in the oceans, because of the overabundance of farm fish, in some cases you might want to pass. It's also not cheap. And until more donations start rolling in, my food budget is still going to be very, very limited. Fortunately, for the here and now, the local Walmart does carry and sell grass-fed, organic ground beef. So in many cases, I will avoid steak. I don't have the money for lamb, and the consumption of lamb is absolutely in my ancestry on my father's side. But most of the time, I am eating the grass-fed ground beef. And for a while, I was eating the Walmart chicken, and we're talking about the cheapest Walmart chicken that they sell. And my intuition was telling me for a long, long time, stop eating this. This is not good for you. Even when I was cooking this cheap chicken, boneless, skinless chicken, full of hormones, right? Even if it says it's natural on the package, right? That does not mean that it was free range. They are using the word natural, most of you already know this, on just about everything now, right? It's being used for marketing purposes. Food does not necessarily have to be 100% organic in order for it to be healthy. Keep that in mind as well. So you want to listen to your intuition. You might pick up a product and you might feel that intuition within you guiding you to put the product back on the shelf. You might also feel the intuition telling you to pick up certain products. You might feel a gravitational pull. In the same way that some of you find a gravitational pull to come to this channel or to access other information on the internet, your intuition might be telling you that you need to expand your diet. And you might not know why your intuition is telling you to stop eating certain things. I was consuming a product by the name of Snyder's, I believe, the pretzel company. And I was buying the nacho cheese pretzel sticks for about a year. And then when I started to change my diet, I thought I would look at the ingredients on the back, and I could see that it includes MSG. So even though I like those pretzel sticks and I think I'm eating healthier than the Doritos or the Lay's potato chips or the Frito-Lays, and by the way, the chips at the grocery store are really, really expensive right now. Have you seen the price of cereal? The cereal right now, I'm looking at boxes of cereal that are 4, 5, 6. I even found a box of cereal that says zombie cereal on the actual box at Target. I took a picture. If you follow me over at Facebook, and I'm not talking about my personal page, I'm talking about the Outside the Box TV with Alex Ansary page. That's the page you need to be following. That's the page you need to be engaging with. I'll put up a picture later of literally a box of cereal that says zombie on it. And the price for that box of cereal, I kid you not, $7.99. And so with the high cost of food, we need to be more careful in the foods that we consume. Now, I do not consume cheap dairy. I always get organic dairy because of the amount of hormones in it. But I have felt guided to be drinking less dairy and to be consuming less ice cream. And so I might be starting to consume more almond butter, or rather almond milk. There's also oat milk. Some people say it's a scam, but as I read this book, apparently dairy is not ideal for me. So I may be pulling away from dairy, but I do think that a certain amount of dairy is healthy. So everything in moderation. So it talks about seafood a little bit. Seafood, the second most concentrated animal protein, is well suited for type O. Seafood can be an excellent protein source. Richly oiled cold water fish, such as cod and mackerel, are excellent for type O because they contain the much needed anti-inflammatory omega-3 fatty acids and help build active tissue muscle almost as effectively as red and organ meat. Make sure that your fish is freshly caught, not farm raised, and free of industrial toxins, heavy metals, xenobiotics, dioxins, which accumulate in the fat. As for fish that is nearest to the ice or from the back of the refrigerator from the temperature, where the temperature is coldest. And so there's going to be places in America where you're going to have a higher access to quality wild caught fish. So, one of the places that I think of is a place where my grandfather used to take me as a child, and that is Astoria, Oregon, Seaside, Oregon, where for a while he owned a beach house. Also, Newport, Oregon, where I can remember eating fish and chips with my grandfather. What comes to mind at the moment isn't necessarily salmon, but halibut and maybe cod. So I have a memory of eating those things and having a positive, enjoyable sensation within my body. Again, listen to your body. When you eat certain foods, your body might feel good when you're eating something healthy and nutritious. But you should also not be deceived by your taste buds. For example, you might enjoy eating at McDonald's. I know that I do once in a while, and I'm going to try not to. But I do once in a while. I get the McDouble, and I get the McChicken without mayonnaise, usually those two together, and I never drink the Coca-Cola. I never eat the French fries. I rarely eat the chicken McNuggets, but if I do so with the sweet and sour sauce, and none of that, ladies and gentlemen, is healthy for you or me. So we could be deceived by our taste buds, just like you can be deceived into thinking that it's a good thing for you to only watch content on YouTube and to never listen to a podcast on Substack or Patreon or Spotify, although I don't really listen to Spotify. That is a major, major multinational corporation. You want to ask yourself is if what you are listening to and what you are eating and what you are consuming is ultimately good for you, even if it feels good going down or while you are consuming it, right? It might feel really good for you to watch pornography, but that's because of the dopamine and the endorphins that is being released within your body as you simulate the procreation process. But it doesn't mean that consuming that trash is really healthy for your mind, your body, and your spirit. Not to mention that it does contribute to what is called erectile dysfunction. So this is a list of highly beneficial fish that is listed here on page 95. Bass, bluegill, bass, sea lake, bass, cod, halibut, mackerel, perch, pike, red snapper. A lot of these I have never tried. Sturgeon, swordfish, trout, and yellowtail. On the topic of trout, The farm, the 40-acre farm that I grew up on until the age of 13, approximately, I lived on the farm with my mother from the age of 6 to 13. My mother, in fact, moved me around a great deal after I was born until the age of 6. So I did not have a very grounding childhood. And of course, my father was not present in my childhood. And during those years, he was a psychopathic drunk who I believe threatened to kidnap me and take me overseas, right? Just so you're aware, right? His behavior in the early 80s was absolutely irresponsible and ridiculous. And some could even say criminal. The point is, my grandfather took me when we lived on Airport Road, right there in Aurora, Oregon, to the bottom of the hill on Airport Road. We lived at the top. He took me to the bottom, and we had an amazing day at the Trout Lake Farm. I believe it still is there to this day. Correct me if I'm wrong. And so you can go there and you pay a certain amount and you can fish right there in the trout farm. And so it may be possible that certain farm raised fish is raised in a proper way. It just depends on the actual farm. And there's a very long list here of neutral fish. I'm not going to mention them all, or we'll be here all day. I'll just mention a few. Carp, clam, crab, eel, lobster, lobster's good, salmon, sardine, mussels, mullet, scallop, shark, shrimp, snail, tuna. Now, on that topic, it mentions several tuna, and I had a friend, I call him the A-Man, and he took me to a restaurant. I believe it's called No Host Cafe in Portland, Oregon. It may still be there to this day. It's been 10 years since I've been in Portland. But it was a combination, a plate was ordered of ahi tuna. I believe it was yellowfin tuna, and I believe it is consumed raw. And it had a combination of soy sauce and wasabi and onions and maybe some other relish or garnish. And that was an appetizer before we ate the beef and the sticky rice with a side of macaroni. I was never a big fan of the macaroni, never was a big pasta fan, which is a good thing because spaghetti and pasta is not exactly a superfood. So I'm a big fan of sushi when I can eat it, and yellowfin tuna, although I have not had any for about, well, I actually had some a few weeks ago, but before that, it was several years. They actually had some yellowfin tuna for about $6 or $7. I don't remember the exact weight. And again, there I am walking by, like I always do, the seafood aisle at Walmart, and I will look for meat that is discounted. Okay, so even though it's discounted with the yellow ticket, it does not mean that it is no good to eat. So I have several discounted packages of hummus. Sometimes the stir-fry flank steak, which at Walmart will sometimes be discounted. And there are times in which the lamb will be discounted, but it's not often. Now it talks about dairy and eggs, and I will say that I have been avoiding for several years the cheap eggs. You can buy a whole bunch of eggs, just so you know, at Walmart. I'm not sure the exact price. We all know that eggs went up dramatically, and a lot of people were making jokes about it, you know, sharing memes on social media of a man and a woman engaged in fine dining at the egg aisle, right? Drinking red wine as if it's some sort of a joke that eggs were going up, and away. And then, of course, blaming Biden for it. Biden is a part of the New World Order. Biden is not our friend, but it isn't solely the fault of a president for fluctuations in egg prices. There are other factors involved in the cost of food, just so you are aware, okay? Okay. And so what I prefer at Walmart is the vegetarian fed eggs. And I eat approximately 3 eggs every day, with the exception of some days. And I eat organic toast with it, also butter and peanut butter. And, next to that, of course, I will drink a large water with that next to my coffee. And in that water, I will have turmeric. That's another supplement. So powdered turmeric. And also chia seed. And I will also put in about a tablespoon of vitamin C. And I'm also starting to add in squeezed lemon. And for detoxification purposes, it's recommended to drink a combination of lemon juice, olive oil, cayenne pepper with black pepper. As I read that the black pepper with the cayenne pepper work together really, really well, that it activates the medicinal properties of the cayenne pepper. And next to that, I enjoy a healthy dose of habanero peppers. Not only do I eat the habaneros raw and whole, I will also go to the Mexican markets and get the straight up habanero salsa, pure habanero salsa, straight up from Mexico. There is no product at Kroger or Walmart or Safeway or Albertsons that is pure habanero salsa. So that's what I prefer. Neutral egg whites, egg yolk, farmer cheese, feta cheese, goat cheese, ghee, mozzarella cheese, and there's a list of things to avoid. American cheese, blue cheese, a whole list of cheeses here, including half and half as far as milk. And so, yeah, I can say that I have been not consuming a lot of milk, and now I know why. What I do consume, though, is sharp cheddar cheese. And so I have been buying the Kraft cheddar cheese, but because I am from the state of Oregon, when I have the ability to buy Tillamook cheese, I will buy that. But I will not consume it in large amounts. So moving on, highly beneficial olive oil, flaxseed oil, rice bran oil, and then a few others. So I do prefer to cook with olive oil. Neutral oils would be almond oil, apricot oil, and a number of others. Canola oil, chia seed oil, cod liver oil, hemp seed oil, pumpkin seed oil, sesame oil, and that's actually all that I use for dressing. I had a big salad last night with pumpkin seeds and tomatoes and sliced red onions and kale. Instead of using dressing such as the Olive Garden dressing, which I did use a few times but stopped using it, I now just simply use sesame oil. And it recommends avoiding avocado oil, coconut oil, castor oil, peanut oil, saffron oil, soy oil, sunflower oil, wheat germ oil. Now, the other day, I was at the health food store, and I asked the people in line, as well as the staff there, if there was an oil that they could recommend that was healthier than canola. And they all said at the same time, avocado oil. So I did buy avocado oil to fry my organic potatoes. I only recently started to buy organic potatoes. So if they are available, because of the damage that GMO potatoes can do to the organs, from studies that I've read of organ failure in rats and mice, that we're eating the GMO potatoes, we want to eat organic potatoes when and where possible. So, according to this, I should be avoiding avocado oil, and so I'm going to have to do more research into that, right? So sometimes there may be a certain recommendation given for your blood type, but there still may be some healthy attributes of something like avocado oil and coconut oil, just in moderation. Like I said, dairy, things of that nature. A lot of people, when you ask them for health advice, they may make an ignorant statement and say, ask your doctor. When in reality, your doctor may give you horrible advice. Like if you have high cholesterol, they won't actually tell you what is causing the high cholesterol because they have bad information. And they often look to these databases. Like I had an issue with high cholesterol, by the way, and they recommended statins. They did not recommend a certain amount of exercise. They did not look at my diet or other things and factors. Okay, and so they're highly ignorant. So in many cases, when somebody says, get professional help, they're often insulting you. When someone says, go see a doctor, they're showing their ignorance regarding modern medicine and malpractice. So this involves cardiologists, hepatologists, the mental health field, and of course the recent health event. There's also a lot of damage that dentists do to their patients by drilling and drilling and drilling. And so there are a number of people out there that have talked about coconut oil pulling, not just to pull out the bacteria from the mouth, but to A, prevent cavities, and B, some claim that coconut oil pulling can help heal cavities. Some people swear by it. So before getting your cavities filled, your teeth drilled into, and then filled for several weeks to several months, engage in coconut oil pulling and see if that helps. There's some people that say that's a weird sensation. I don't find it to be a weird sensation. I find it to be weird for people to say, that's weird, I'm not even going to try that. That's what I find to be the weird thing. Type O can find a good source of supplemental vegetarian or vegetable protein in some varieties of nuts and seeds while avoiding those with harmful lectins. However, these foods should in no way take the place of high-quality proteins available in meats and seafoods. Because nuts can sometimes cause digestive problems, be sure to chew them thoroughly or use nut butters, which are easier to digest, especially if you have colon problems. Okay, highly beneficial: carob, flaxseed, hemp seed, pumpkin seed, walnut. And see, again, I already picked up these things recently. And flaxseed goes good, for example, with applesauce. And of course, you want to get the applesauce with no sugar added. And you might also want to add in some cinnamon. It says neutral here: almond, almond butter, almond cheese, almond milk, chia seed, butternut, hazelnut, and just a long list of others. Now, on that 40 acres where I grew up between age 6 and age 13, which at that point, M.W. Nagel, also known as Bill Nagel, founder of Nagel Floor Covering in Aurora, Oregon, he and my grandmother, Ruth Nagel, sold the property as they divorced. And I call this the death of the farm chapter of my life, where my mother and I were catapulted into the city, and it'll only be a year or two before my mother decides to go to one of the biggest cities in North America, leaving her child behind and moving in with a creepo who, when I spoke back against my mother, talked back to my mother, threw me against the wall when she did pick me up and take me to that rotten city. Anyway, the point was on that 40-acre property, we had many, many hazelnut trees. And so one of my chores on occasion was to go with the bucket and pick up hazelnuts and put them in the bucket so we would have some. But for the most part, my grandpa made a certain amount of money. I never knew how much money he made, but he would sell those hazelnuts. A big giant tractor, a big giant machine basically would come through that was being manned by an old man, maybe about 65 years old, 70 years old, really old dude. And he would go through our orchard trees with this massive machine and collect up the hazelnuts. And so they would end up sold somewhere. I'm not sure if they ended up at the grocery store, but they ended up in the commercial market somewhere. And so as far as nuts for the blood type O diet, it recommends avoiding Brazil nuts, beech nuts, cashews, peanuts, peanut butter, pistachio nut, peanut flour, poppy seed, sunflower seed, and sunflower butter. Beans and legumes, right? I have always avoided beans. Now I know why. Type O doesn't utilize beans particularly well. In general, beans inhibit the metabolism of other more important nutrients, such as those found in meat, and a number of them contain lectins that are harmful to type O. There are a couple of highly beneficial beans that are exceptions and actually strengthen the digestive tract and the balance of the microbe. I don't know if I even said that word correctly, but anyways, even so, eat beans in moderation as an occasional side dish. So it is said that when I lived in poverty with my mother in a downtown Seattle, Washington apartment, I don't have a memory of this, but I was told by my grandfather many, many times, the reason why I don't like beans is because my mother, at least that's what she told him, we were so poor that all we had were beans. Now that I know that in reality it's my blood type, that's the reason that I don't like beans. Also, one of the poorest form of beans that I think one can eat, on one hand, is the refried beans, often found in Mexican food. And the other form of beans is the product known as pork and beans. That product right there that is mass produced and consumed right here in the good old supposed superior US of A is one of the most disgusting products that you can consume. Okay, just like Pabst Blue Ribbon, which is really popular with Portland, Oregon hipsters, which think that they're oh so enlightened and oh so superior, right, is actually, in fact, one of the most disgusting beers, which I know in my DNA I am allergic to. I can drink Amber Ale, I can drink IPA, but I do not drink Coors Light, Coors, Bud Light, Pabst Blue Ribbon, Rainier, and a whole host of other beers. And so a lot of people that are fully Anglo have actually looked down upon me when I lived off grid for not being able to drink crap beer. They will see it as a weakness if another person with a more diverse amount of genetics does not eat the same crappy food as them, putting mayonnaise on their sandwiches, eating pork and beans, and drinking Budweiser. And so that is a major shortcoming of a lot of people in the Americult, as they will look down on other cultures and people with different ethnicities that do not eat the same crappy foods. So keep that in mind, right? People in this culture and this society can actually learn a lot from other cultures, and they do, although they may not admit it. So when it comes to turmeric, when it comes to cayenne, when it comes to certain peppers, when it comes to certain things, these are things commonly found in other cultures, in East India and other places. Having said that, a lot of people in the West, a lot of women in the West, make the mistake of thinking that only East Indians are capable of being spiritual teachers. People like Sadhguru and others. Many of them make the mistake of thinking that yoga is all they need to engage in to be spiritual, when many yoga practitioners, especially in cities like Portland, have an energy blockage in their heart chakra when it comes to having compassion for the victims of war. So this is what is common, folks, with people on the left and people on the right. They will be disgusted by people like myself that actually have compassion for the millions that have been murdered by their own society, by their own culture. And they will show no remorse. They will show no compassion. So you can have a lot of people that are into veganism and talking about the immorality of killing animals. Meanwhile, they don't give a damn about human beings that are being killed, showing that their compassion is in fact very, very limited. You also have this obsession with trans rights and transsexuals, when many of them, especially in Portland, used to serve in the military and expect the government to pay for their sex changes, when in fact they took part in an occupation of innocent men, women, and children. And we might want to ask ourselves, what happened to some of these individuals overseas that caused them to turn in the direction of the trans movement and reality? Something to think about, something to contemplate. It says highly beneficial azuki beans and black-eyed peas. And so when I bought in bulk in 2007 with an old friend by the name of Patricia in Portland, Oregon, and we organized a mass buy of whole grains and beans and legumes and quinoa and rice with a meetup group that I promoted for viewers of mine to come down to and be a part of. Azuki beans was one of the things that was on my list, next to kamut berries, next to organic oatmeal and other things. And then it lists a number of neutral beans here. Black beans, which are my favorite, but I don't eat them often. Garbanzo beans, I love hummus, so that fits into that category. I've made homemade hummus multiple times. Mung beans, I've also eaten that. Snap beans, soybeans, I do not eat soybeans. I am not a, quote, soy boy. Okay, avoid copper bean, kidney bean, lentils, all types. And so I have actually bought lentils thinking that they were healthy, but I ended up not eating them. This goes on and on and on. I don't know if I can read all this. So I'm going to have to summarize. There are few grains or cereals that could be classified as highly beneficial for type O. Many of the most common varieties cause inflammation. And so there was a period in which I did eat an overabundance of waffles and cereal. And I did develop quite the gut, which I have since been working off. Wheat products are a primary culprit in the type O weight gain because the glutens in wheat germ can interfere with type O metabolic processes. Inefficient or sluggish metabolism can cause food to convert to energy more slowly and to be stored as fat. Most pasta is made with semolina wheat, so you need to select very carefully if you want an occasional pasta dish. Pastas made from buckwheat, Jerusalem artichoke, or rice flour are better tolerated by type O. The other thing that I saw at the health food store was coconut flour. And I thought maybe I would look into that for maybe a healthier form of non bread. which is something that I'm looking to make. Highly beneficial, flaxseed bread, artichoke flour pasta, Essene manna bread, larch flour. Neutral is amaranth. Amaranth is very good, haven't had it in years. Black bean flour, buckwheat, garbanzo bean flour, basmati rice, brown rice, quinoa. And by the way, when I was living near Durango, Colorado, specifically in Pagosa Springs, I found out that the company by the name of Azure Standard, which is located east of Portland, Oregon, near the Mount Hood area, had a drop location where a truck will actually meet a buyer's club and will deliver the goods. Basically, you buy with a food buyer's club, you put in your order, and then you go physically pick up your giant bags of food. 25-pound bags of this, 25, 50-pound bags of that. And so I remember at the time purchasing granola, quinoa, and another bag of food. I still have that quinoa to this day. So it is now 4 years later. I have never put that bag of quinoa in a 5-gallon food safe bucket with a Gamasil lid. They're very, very expensive. So I never bothered to buy a Gamasil lid. Like when I bought Gamasil lids in 2007, I can get them for $7 or $8 each. Now they're like $20, $25 and even more. So I'm actually going to move forward with this so we can conclude. Vegetables. Leafy green vegetables rich in vitamin K like kale, collard greens, romaine lettuce, broccoli, and spinach are very good for type O. Broccoli is something that I have a hard time eating, but I know intuitively that I need to start eating broccoli, but I need to flavor it up some way. And it's also recommended that you lightly cook it. It can be difficult digestive-wise, correct me if I'm wrong, to eat all your broccoli raw. Alfalfa sprouts can contain components that, by irritating the digestive tract, can aggravate type O hypersensitivity problems. The molds in domestic and shiitake mushrooms and in fermented olives tend to trigger allergic reactions in type O. Highly beneficial for type O. Again, broccoli, collard greens, dandelion greens, artichoke, ginger. I also had ginger last night on my salad. First time I had ginger in about a month. Horseradish, grape leaves, kale, kelp, lettuce, parsley, sea vegetables, kelp, nori, spinach, sweet potato, turnip, Swiss chard. I do not currently eat Swiss chard, but I've been thinking about it. I have been purchasing nori, also known as seaweed. There's a certain market that I go to where I pick up sheets of it, and it is also a healthy source of iodine. Next to that, I don't use regular table salt, but I use Himalayan salt. It has a lot more trace minerals, but it is said that you need the iodine. But the regular table salt has additives. So I have been supplementing the iodine by eating the nori. And then it lists a number of neutral vegetables. So because we are heavy on time here, I'm going to go to the avoid section. And it says to avoid aloe vera. I've actually been drinking aloe vera juice. I just brought a fresh package of it. It does have attributes to it that help cleanse the system. So I still may be using aloe vera. And aloe vera is sold and farmed heavily in my father's country. And so due to ancestry, not just blood type, but ancestry, aloe vera may in fact actually be healthy for me. But it does recommend avoiding other things also like cauliflower, corn, cucumber, mushroom, olives, pickles, spirilla. Now on that note, I have been consuming spirilla from the Synergy company, but not every day. There's actually several products that I mix together, and I have been consuming that for several months. So again, this is recommendations, but you may actually need to consume some of the things that may actually be on the recommended list to avoid. Again, follow your intuition. So let's go to fruit. Highly beneficial banana, which I had this morning, along with a handful of almonds. Mango, plum, prune, fig, guava, cherry, blueberry, neutral, apple, apricot, acai berry, boysenberry, cranberry, elderberry, goji berry, gooseberry, grapefruit, grape, huckleberry, lemon, lime, nectarine, papaya, passion fruit, peach, pear, pineapple, pomegranate, prickly pear, raisin, raspberry. A lot of these things that are on the neutral list, I actually crave quite a bit. Strawberry, watermelon, avoid avocado. Now, I actually started to increase avocado though, because avocado is good for avoiding depression. It is good for mental health. It is a good source of fat. So in some cases, your intuition may tell you, and your body may tell you, you need this food. You need to eat this. So again, this book is just a recommendation. It doesn't mean that we're going to treat it like, like it's gospel or something. Avoid kiwi, tangerine, cantaloupe. But in fact, kiwi is good for repairing damaged DNA. So kiwi is one of those foods that I've been eating. Beverages, teas, and coffee. Vegetable juices are preferable to fruit juices for type O because of a higher nutrition content. If you drink fruit juice, choose low sucrose and fructose varieties. Limit high sugar juices such as apple juice and apple cider. You're pretty much limited to the juices or drinks such as seltzer, club, soda, and tea. Okay. Beer is okay in moderation, but it's not a good choice if you want to lose weight. So certainly, hard alcohol is not good. So I was always right to avoid hard alcohol. I did do my experimentation when I had a fake ID at the age of 18, 19, and 20. And that was not a good thing. The problem that coffee poses for type O is the increased levels of stomach acid that it produces and its long-term effects. Type O has plenty of stomach acid all on its own and doesn't need more. So, I am thinking that I need to cut back on my coffee. I am drinking more coffee than normal. Green tea is a healthy alternative to other caffeinated beverages. So I recently picked up, by the way, decaf green tea with lemon. Highly beneficial. Cayenne tea, blueberry juice, black cherry juice. That's really good stuff. Club soda, dandelion tea, ginger root tea, chickweed tea, guava juice, green tea, peppermint tea, prune juice, seltzer water, and vegetable juice. I do not drink vegetable juice, but maybe I should get into that. Then it lists a whole host of neutrals. So we're going to jump forward through this. It actually says to avoid aloe juice. Like I said, I just picked up some aloe vera juice. I've been drinking it for a few months. I'm actually going to finish drinking it. Herbs and spices. Highly beneficial. red pepper, turmeric, cayenne pepper, ginger, kelp, parsley, garlic. It's recommended to eat a clove of garlic every day. Yesterday, I ate about 6 cloves of garlic, more than normal. Curry, carob, and then there's a whole list of neutral. Cinnamon, chili powder, allspice, basil. Again, if it is in your ancestry, however, to eat a certain amount of basil or other foods or fruits, then you may want to increase it. It actually recommends avoiding black pepper. But I actually just picked up some organic black pepper to go with my cayenne pepper, which not only I put in drinks, but on my vegetarian-fed free-range eggs. Condiments, sweeteners, and additives. It basically recommends avoiding most of this stuff and pickled foods, avoiding ketchup. But the ketchup that I did buy recently is organic. Avoid, let's focus on that, avoid aspartame. We should all be avoiding aspartame. Dextrose, cornstarch, high fructose corn syrup. We all know that. MSG, as I said, I stopped consuming pretzels with MSG. Mustard, sucrose, vinegar, right? So there's actually a reason why I've been avoiding vinegar my whole life. And I have found vinegar, for the most part, to be disgusting. Worcester sauce. And then there's a section on meal planning. So we went longer than I expected to go. Oh, I'm tired. Oh, I am so tired after this recording. I pretty much talked really fast and ran through a lot of stuff. In the future, we can talk more about survival preparedness. I did make a purchase recently from the Keystone Company from Walmart, and they will be delivering to my house, to my place of residency, cans of meat. And so you want to have protein in the event of a disaster. You want to have something to cook that food, to warm up that food. I would not only stock up on freeze-dried food, although I will get some. In the number 10 cans, I have some lasagna. I'm also probably going to pick up some powdered milk. I have several number 10 cans of scrambled eggs. I believe that I have some freeze-dried chicken. And then, of course, I have quinoa and spirilla. And coming in today will be canned beef. I do not have any canned bacon. Like I said, I have followed my intuition to get away from pork products. And now I know why from reading that book. So, yeah, hopefully this recording gave you some ideas. Possibly in the future, I will be doing a book review of the book entitled The Buddhist on Death Row, How One Man Found Light in the Darkest Place. For now, I'm Alex Ansary, reminding you the path to the ultimate truth and place of power still lies within. Remember to follow the link down below to hear my other recording on nutrition and food, hosted at the Substack page.